A very good evening to all of you who are joining us for this webinar about top 3 countries that offer a master's in under 10 lakhs. We're going to wait for a couple of minutes. Also, we have a very, very special guest on board who's here to answer all of your queries regarding studying abroad. We'll wait for another 2 minutes and then introduce the guest. Just to give an idea about the webinar, today we're going to be discussing and drawing a parallel thread between 3 countries that do offer a master's and that too in under 10 lakhs. We will discuss how these countries differ in terms of the course, the program, and how we actually go ahead in the entire process of studying abroad. We have a very special guest with us here today. I think we can start the webinar. So he's a study abroad expert. All your eligibility related questions, all your questions regarding what course can I pick, what country is perfect for which course, what is your forte, etc., will be answered. Also, this is a live Q&A themed webinar, which means that we'll be answering all of your questions. You can just feel free to drop in your questions in the Q&A box and not in the chat. Also, if your questions remain unanswered, up to the very end of the webinar, then you can write to us at social@upgradabroad.com. My colleague Arushi will put in the details of all of our social media handles, as well as the email address that you can write to us at. Inviting our study abroad expert, Mr. Pritam Singh, would you be able to give us a tiny little brief about how has your education, your professional experience made you the expert?
Thank you so much, Aprajita, for having me. I think it's an absolute honor for me to be speaking to all of these students who I'm assuming are prospective study abroad students. I'll introduce myself. I'm Praneeth. I'm the Associate Director at upGrad Abroad. From an experiential standpoint, I have studied abroad myself. I've done my graduate degree, my master's degree from the University of Pennsylvania's Graduate School of Education. It was a master's in education entrepreneurship. And from a commercial or industrial standpoint, I have been serving the edtech industry for about a decade now. I was running my startup for about 6.5 years, and I've been in upGrad for about 2.5. So completing my 9 years in higher ed. Would love to answer, of course, any questions that you put forth. But like you said, I'd also welcome all of these students to ask me as many questions as they may have on studying abroad, on scholarships, on how do you reduce cost, how and when to study abroad, which courses to pick, which ones make sense, which ones will have higher number of jobs, how do you search for jobs abroad. I'd also like everyone to know that in my experience of being a higher ed student myself, who studied abroad, I had 100% scholarship, so I was lucky enough. So I can also guide you on how do you actually apply for scholarships, and if you've got another year or two until you have to apply, what all can you do in this year to make sure that you got scholarship. So thanks again for having me, and I really look forward to the discussion, Prashta.
This is very interesting. I think we'll be able to answer a lot of very commonly, frequently asked questions that students have, because they don't know where and when to just begin the process. They want to study abroad, but they don't know the starting point of this entire discussion that succeeds after you take that decision. So we'll start with a very common question and also draw parallels between France, Germany, and Finland. In terms of cost, what do you think students can expect?
So typically, if we're looking at now that we're in a space where we're only talking about very cost-effective, low-cost, high-yield degrees, in Europe, the tuition fee can be brought down as low as about 6,500 euros for an MBA. When it comes to living expenses, you can expect somewhere between 650 euros to about 900 euros a month, although some governments, some parts of Europe like Germany, France may expect you to have a higher show money or a higher block account, which just means that you demonstrate that you can afford a higher cost of living. But in actual, if you were to do a degree end to end, it'll cost you way under about 14 to 15 lakhs at the maximum. I am including tuition and living. In France, in Germany, and in Finland, all three are very supportive. I'd especially like to mention Finland because Finland's living cost is very low. It's not even about 500 euros a month. So that way it makes a lot of sense. And now more than ever, Indian students can actually get into some of these schools, do a quick 1 year degree, and then eventually land up at a job that pays them at least 45 to 50,000 euros. So almost 3 to 3.5 times of what they're spending.
So if you were to rank, so when we're talking about these three countries, if you were to rank in terms of tuition fee and living cost, how would you place them?
So I think largely it's the debate where I talk about a nominal GDP and the PPP. Every country's cost of living per se, or say, even if I was earning 40k euros and I was earning 40k euros in Germany, the two are very different because of PPP, because of the general cost of lifestyle. But if I were to rank in terms of the industrial prowess, I'd talk about Germany and France first. I'll keep them above Finland. If I were to rank these on quality of life, I'd keep Finland on the top, then go to Germany, and then Germany and France may not have enough difference. But economically speaking, if you were to ask me, hey, where are abundant jobs? That's Germany. Germany is a very internationalized economy. And so if you're from a manufacturing sector, if you're from the engineering sector, if you're from finance, Germany has a plethora of jobs for you. So I'd rank that number one if you were to go in manufacturing or engineering. If you were to go in IT, information technology, if you were to go in embedded systems, if you were to go in cloud engineering, if you were to go in electronics, Finland's number one. If you were to go in fashion, luxury, finance, again, defense or manufacturing, if you were to go for a lot of social development sector, or if you were to go in design, if you were to go in marketing, then France it is. So all three have their merits. And cost-wise, I think you can save enough money in all three of them because all three are very lucrative economies. Germany is now number 3 in the world as an economy nominally. So some of these parts of Europe have become so progressive that we possibly can't sit here and imagine, especially France and Finland, because I think they are lesser known of the two as hotspots or hotbeds of study abroad.
So staying true to the topic, we are saying that you can dream the dream of, pursuing your master's abroad, even if you have, say, as little as 10 lakhs. That holds true for all of these countries. Does upGrad abroad have courses in all of these three countries, wherein if I have, say, a starting amount of 10 lakhs, I can dream the dream?
Absolutely. We've got an MBA degree. We've got a computer science degree. We've got a data science degree. We've got an AI degree. We've got luxury, fashion, marketing, supply chain, almost any degree you can possibly imagine, which has a clear progression into some of the coveted fields which offer a huge employability. We've got all of those degrees, and all of them with our upGrad exclusive discounts and scholarships will fall easily under about 9,500 euros. That's about 8 lakh rupees. So you're very safe, very, very safe under that bracket.
That is amazing, because what I take away as somebody who's not from the edtech space is that you need to have 10 lakhs and you need to know what course you want to do. France, Germany, or Finland, all these options are open in terms of whatever course you have in mind, and 10 lakhs as your budget, at least as your starting budget. Or coming to most rewarding degree. So what we've seen is most students want to go abroad not just to pursue their education. Their ultimate aim remains to, build that sort of a career that you can't here, or maybe get that jump start to your career. So if we talk about rewarding degrees, is there a difference between countries? So if I'm an IT aspirant versus if say I'm an MBA aspirant, should the countries differ, and how do you exactly make that decision?
Got that. So you can make the decision to choose the country, or you can make a decision to choose the course and then reverse engineer which country to pick, right? If I were to make an empirical fact-based call, I'd say if I'm an engineer, Germany is a very engineering-friendly part of the world, where even if I'm doing an MBA course, I will still find a cross-functional job. For example, if I'm an engineer, which I am by default, if I do an education degree or if I do a design degree, I'd still survive and thrive in the economy of Germany because it's a very engineering friendly. I don't know if many of our our learners, aspirants, Germany accounts for 26% of the world's manufacturing, and the US is somewhere at 18%. So imagine how big of a manufacturing sector Germany, has. If I were to do hospitality or tourism or luxury front or fashion design marketing, I don't even have to think twice. The most rewarding degree in France is a degree that's marketing, design, fashion, luxury, supply chain for that matter. Germany and France both are at par for supply chain because these both are some of the leading exporters in the world, And wherever there's export, supply chain plays a huge part. And both are very manufacturing centric economies. So that means, of course, the scope of supply chain is in abundance. Now, because Aparajita, both of these economies are very manufacturing intensive, automation has a role to play. The world's changing. So AI and machine learning's in all of these is inevitable. And a lot of jobs for AI ML enthusiasts or computer scientists are by default there. Coming to Finland, the most rewarding degree in Finland would be anything in ICT, information communication technology. So if you're an electronic engineer, or if you are from the hospitality field, or if you're from let's say, if you're an accountant, if you've done a BCom or a BAc, or you have a CA certificate, Finland is a huge economy for you. So it's that place where life is calmer, the quality of life is super high, and they are in need for data scientists, ICT, they need cloud engineers, and they need a lot of tourism and business and commerce intensive graduates to hold their economy, to uphold kind of wealth they've amassed over the years economically. So the most rewarding degree debate can go both ways. I can either make an empirical choice, and I can make a very desire-based choice. So desire-based, if I'm looking at quality of life Finland, if I'm looking at a very metropolitan lifestyle, like most of us here, then Germany and France both make the cut. If I'm looking at the longevity, so Aparajita, one of the biggest things that I've seen in students is they say, I want to spend 10 lakhs, but I don't want to come back now. I want to make sure that I can stay there and I can foresee my life there. France is very supportive that way. It lets you have 2 years of work visa, 2 years of job seeker visa, and you find as many jobs as you want. And here's the good thing about France, Aparajita. The day you have a job, it's an indefinite work visa. Indefinite work visa. The day you complete 5 years, you can apply for a PR. So I think in India, everyone likes to be very certain. So, if you're choosing France and if your degree qualifies to be an RNCP level 7 or above, which means master's and above, you don't have to come back. You don't even have to think about it. So I hope I've answered you.
Absolutely. I think one thing that is very important, and as I hear you speak, I understand even more is research is very important. This is not a very small decision in your life. It's a very big decision. You're going to do your master's abroad and possibly settle down or have the job of your dreams there or build a career there. Understanding what works there is very important. Research, what are the areas that France is great at, or what am I exactly looking for? If you're looking for quality of life, like Praneeth said, it's very important. These are very small factors when it comes to decision making, but very huge factors when it comes to settling, or ultimately achieving that goal of getting the career of your dreams. It's very important to understand, are these small needs met? So as he's talking about different countries, what I understand for all of you is go do your research. Just every day learn something new about the economy, learn what jobs are available, and then suit that to your profile instead of just blindly saying that everybody does an MBA, let me go and do an MBA abroad. Maybe that's not what you want to do. Also, maybe that's not the country for it. So the rewarding part comes after thorough research, is what I understand. And that is where experts and professionals come into the picture, wherein you write to us and we help you find that sort of fitment. That is why counselors thrive, because they need to understand, they will review your profile and actually tell you what is good for you, advise you for the best. Also reminding all of you that this is a live Q&A based webinar, which means all of your questions, I can see Vasu raising his hand. Please put in all of your questions in the Q&A box. Maybe we can take a couple of them right now. Okay. So there is an anonymous attendee that says, he says, does this have post-grad or a one-year program? So as what I understand, there's some tenure differences, what he's talking about.
Yes, so most of these degrees, especially so Europe has an ECTS setup, Rajda. It's called the European Credit Transfer System. Ideally, every US credit is half of an ECTS. So an ECTS, one US credit is equal to 2 ECTS. Now, most European degrees are either at a master's level or 60 ECTS. For a 3-year degree holder from India, the only degree that you can do, Prajita, is a 120 ECTS or a 2-year master's. But if you're a 4-year degree holder, that does not necessarily mean you have to have a BArch or an MBBS or BTech. That just means 4 years of higher level. So 16 years of 12 years of school plus 4 years at least. So you can do a 3+2 masters and you'd still make that mark. Then you can do a CPS or a 1-year masters. Now, I'm sorry I'm using ECTS, but ECTS typically means the credits, the European Credit Transfer System. So upGrad has both 60 ECTS degrees and 120. Even if you're a 3-year degree holder, and if you just want to spend 1 year in Germany or Finland or France, just because you want to save money, you can do the additional portion, or the additional component of it with us. upGrad has 90 ECTS degrees also, and we have MBAs. And the good part is all of these masters come with tons of specialized tracks, including healthcare, including analytics, including engineering, including HR, marketing, you name it, and we have it. Even including, let's say, international management, including finance, including accounting. So anything that you possibly want to find. I also, I can see there are a lot of them who asked, so I'll just wait for you to.
We'll just take a couple of questions to break the monotony, and then we'll start with our presentation. We'll keep taking all of your questions, and every question will be answered to the best of our ability. But please be patient and stay till the end of the webinar. Also, just put in your question, at least the basic cause of concern, and then we can ask you to elaborate on the concern. This is a very popular question. I've also studied in France, and this was the first thing that came to my mind as well. So France, Germany, Finland, studying in these countries requires you to be fluent in their language. As job prospects are very thin. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I think it's a chicken and egg issue. Do I learn German first, or do I go to Germany first and then learn German? I think my experience tells me very strongly that most of these schools now teach you completely in English. And all of these schools, Aprajita, now have a setup that they teach you the language in the evening. So they always have a class for you in the evening to learn German or French or Finnish. I believe it should never be a deterrent or an impediment for you to not make that call. You start with upgrad, or you start directly, you start studying, you go to your university. I think, Aprajita, and I'm sure because you've studied in France, you would agree to this. There are things that you can theoretically learn. I mean, you can learn French, but until you converse with 100 individuals on that campus, you never know French. You can write French, read French, but because theoretically learning a language and speaking it are two different dimensions. A lot of individuals who learn Hindi may not speak as fluently, which is understandable or discernible, as someone like us who's a Hindi. So these universities, I think for a student, like if I were to think like them, my biggest fear is, will they teach me in German or French? No, they are English medium universities. They only teach you in English. The medium of instruction will always be that. Will the faculty speak English? 100% yes. Actually, I have met French individuals who speak better English than I do. They're that fluent. So, the world that we sometimes imagine is long gone. They're very progressive. Will students speak English? 100%. I think because she studied in France, she can give an anecdotal account. But having been in Germany, having been in other parts of Europe, a lot of students now are internationals. They all speak English. Most Europeans speak English. Now, coming to the job aspect, I think I would expect logically, and this is a very cogent ask of me, you should learn German within the first year of you being there, at least at a basic level, and then eventually move to B1, B2 as you join a job. And I think in a place where all of them are speaking as much German as they're speaking your language, it's faster. You grab things faster because it's a very compelling environment. You have to make compulsive interactions. But to conclude it, Aprajita, it's not an indispensable need for you to commence a course. No, that world's long gone. You don't need that anymore.
Okay, so my take on that will also be as simple as you're going there to learn. Why not pick up a new language? Even if you don't decide to stay there, you decide to come back or whatever it is, or work in any other country, knowing an additional language always holds so much value. When we're going there to learn and study and mature in our trajectory, then why not? Pick up a language? It's not that difficult. I have learned a little bit of French here and there, and if you want to learn a language, and as he's saying, the medium of instruction is going to be English, so it's not a necessity for you to survive there. But why not pick up a language? So we're going to be a little more proactive here. We're going to work that extra harder just to get to where we want to get to. Coming to the other question, somebody here is a bioinformatics student, Hargunjeet, and she or he is asking, where do I pursue my master's from these countries? Bioinformatics student.
A country that does a lot of medical research is both Germany and Finland. They both have very robust, very progressive healthcare systems in the world. Germany is home to a lot of pharma giants also. And bioinformatics is essentially, Argun, is a good confluence of data analytics and biology, medical, healthcare data, healthcare sciences. It has a good enough component of drug discovery, drug development. It has a big scope of biomarkers. I think you need a predictive analytics course in a country that has a huge healthcare industry where there's ample projects to work on, right? Hargun, I genuinely recommend Germany for you. I think there. So remember, I'm saying pharmaceutically, Germany is a better economy. Healthcare wise, Finnish economy is equally it has a real good appetite as much as Germany for talent. they've got enough deficit for you to count on or bank on for you to fill up in Finland. But just remember that you need to do a data science course or analytics course or a computer science course with bioinformatics as a specialized track. If you only do bioinformatics, you'll have very limited application of that, right? So I hope I've answered you.
She's actually written a lot in detail as to what she really wants to do further down in the chat. And I would really advise, because you have something so set and you know what you want to do, and it shows that you're very determined to do that. Drop in your number and your email ID at either praneeth.singh@upgrad.com or social@upgradabroad.com. We can put in the email IDs. Arushi, you can please put in these two email IDs. You can write to us. Try and understand what works best for what you have in mind already. We'll take just 2 questions and then we'll get back to our presentation. So there is a question. Will I be able to get a course around 10 lakh excluding upGrad scholarship? I think we've made that clear already, that is possible for all 3 countries. If you want to know more in detail, I think you should write to us. Then we'll be able to give you a better exact number.
Just cover that and reiterate, reaffirming all 3 countries, like a project has mentioned in the past. We've got MBAs and MSCS, other MSc degrees that easily cut it fine between 10 to 12 lakhs. Easy. You should be able to do it. Getting loans is not difficult. We've got financial partners who are able to do this, and especially with the upGrad discounts, which are additional up to 70% in Germany and between 25 to 30% in France, we should be able to do this.
Okay, so for all the questions that are coming in for cost, this has been already cemented that this is possible within 10 lakhs for all of these countries. What is the exact nature of your program and where do you want to go for that particular program may alter the cost a little bit. For that, you'll have to give us your academic details, for which you will have to drop in your contact number and email ID on the IDs mentioned by Arushi on the chat. Okay, we're getting back to our presentation and we'll take all of your questions a little later. Okay, we've spoken about key industries. Okay, let's talk about part-time work rights and average salaries. How do they stand in comparison with each other? And if we were to make a decision of studying abroad basis these 2 tenets, then what would we choose?
Wonderful answer that. I also saw a very interesting one. Someone asked if IELTS is compulsory. Well, just so you know, in Germany it is, in France and Finland, most schools do not need IELTS. Finland does not need IELTS at all. France somehow, but we've got enough schools for you to waive off IELTS as a mandatory requirement. So good one that you asked. I think it's very enlightening for everyone that they actually trust your ability to speak, which is good. But most of these schools also like to speak to you before they admit you. They just want to see if you're actually fluent enough. Coming back to what you asked, Prajita, I'm sorry I got carried away because
it was an important question to answer. Absolutely.
So part-time work rights. Well, if you're going to Finland, you're a tad bit lucky. You get 30 hours to work every week. France and Germany is about 20 hours a week. Salary-wise, they can range anywhere between 10 euros to 13, 14 euros. Ideally, expect about 10 and a half to 11 euros an hour. In Finland, your average salary is going to be between 35,000 euros, all the way to 56 to 60,000 euros, if you're very experienced. Now, if a Prajita is a student going to Finland who's got 10 years of experience, she's likely to earn about 50 to 59 or 60k euros. If I'm a fresher, I'll earn about 40-ish, right? So expect a Prajita between 3,000 to 3,500 euros a month as a fresh graduate who's just moved out of college and then masters. France could give you between 40 to 52, 55 as a fresh grad. But if you're a techie, France gives you 75, 80,000 euros as well, similar to Germany. They pay techies like crazy. If you're a consultant, if you're from, let's say you are an ex-Deloitte, ex-KPMG, ex-McKinsey, ex-Capgemini, you can expect France and Germany to pay you in, I think, north of 50 at least, higher than 50. Also, Aprajita, here's a catch. There's something called blue card. Blue card is an expedited entry into you, into getting a PR for you, right? So an expedited entry into EU, into European Union, PR. Although every blue card, a country specific blue card. So for certain occupations, you need 46K as a minimum salary in Germany. But for certain occupations, you need 56K in Germany as a minimum salary. So even while occupationally salaries are different, Aprajita, even the blue card requirements then are dynamic accordingly. So if you were a blue card holder, you'd get your PR in 21 months. And if I were a work visa holder, not a blue card, if my salary is lower, it can take me about 33 to 36 months to apply for a PR. So blue card, so I'm saying sometimes what's important for these students to know is average salaries kept aside, the blue card threshold is one figure that they should research on. And you were absolutely right when you said all of this entails a lot of research. They can't do without it. So I'm just leaving a message for them that EU blue card, European Union blue card thresholds are very important for you to research. Finland is the lowest. France is also equivalent to Germany, but Germany's management and tech EU blue card limits are different. So you may capitalize on that.
Okay, so do your research. Arushi, you can put that in the chat just for them to recollect. Blue card is something you need to aim for when you're going to the EU, and just know which country offers how much and what is the threshold. Coming to the next question. Specialized studies for each country. So what are these certain specific programs that you think are, so we've already talked about it in detail, but if you were to give me the top three or the most, the short career hits, if we go to a country, what would it be? What are these countries specializing in? If we could do a 1, 2, 3 for each country.
Let's start with Finland, Aprajita. An MBA, certainly. And of course, MBA specializing in ICT or technology or hospitality or tourism or cloud. So an MBA is one degree. An MSCS in Finland, computer science degree, 100%. And finally, a healthcare degree in Finland is a wow, because they really are in need of healthcare employees. So it's definitely a wonderful choice. In Germany, MBA, of course. I think MBA is such a cross-functional degree that any undergrad background, once they do an MBA, they solidify, they cement, they bolster their chances at employability at a managerial level in the same industry they're coming from. And Germany has a lot of specialized MBAs. MSCS in Germany is a wonderful choice. And the third biggest gift that you can give to yourself in Germany is if you do an automation or mechanical engineering degree. That's what the economy is. In France, Aprajita, fashion, luxury by default. And that means fashion marketing or luxury management or brand management. A degree in hospitality is a big hit. Hospitality sector in France as well. It's that it contributes 10% to its GDP. It's a 260 billion euro industry in France, and it's the most visited country in the world. So any tourism, hospitality degree, hotel management, culinary arts, wonderful. You can also do an MBA in fashion marketing, or you can also do an MBA in hospitality management. So these are also good enough choices. Finally, an MS computer science or data science, AI, any tech degree. is a very superior choice if you want to enter the French industry.
Okay, so we'll take a couple of questions because lastly we're going to be talking about the portfolio and how upGrad abroad actually helps you in achieving all of these dreams very simply. It's a very simplified hybrid process that will work for any country that you pick, any post that you pick. We have a program, so we will talk about that in more detail. But answering your question, this is an excellent question because I've heard it a million times. I come from a commerce background. Can I try tech courses?
Absolutely. I think I'd second approach there. It's a very frequently asked one. I think it's a very genuine one. What if you want to change your domain? I think so. I'd like you to know this term called a conversion course. A conversion course means if a Prajna comes from a fashion background but wants to go into a technology degree, she needs to pick a conversion MSCS or a conversion MSTS. Now, the lower hanging conversion course will always be data science or business analytics. But if you genuinely want to try an MSCS is mostly a conversion course in most parts of the world. But you have to ensure, Prajna, that you can cope up with the rigor of MSCS. And that's where upGrad also plays a huge role, that we let you start in India so you can cope up with the foundational or rigorous coursework modules in India, learn programming, learn coding, learn Python, learn Excel, learn mathematics, learn statistics, learn how to design an algorithm, learn how to do database management. If you have a robust foundational layer, it's very easy to build on it in Germany or in France then. So yes, it's a yes. If you're from BCom and you want to go into computer science, 100% yes. But बस इतना होना चाहिए कि आप willing होने चाहिए that I may have to step outside my comfort.
Yeah.
नहीं आती पर मैं सीखूंगा.
Correct. Correct. So again, saying we need to set realistic goals for ourselves as well. We may be from any background, and the answer to switching to tech is a yes. It's a triumphant yes, is what I would see. But do you have the aptitude for it? Do you really want to go for it? Why are you choosing to switch? Is also another big question. Are you just switching because you feel that tech gets you better career prospects, or are you actually switching because your interest lies there and you couldn't pursue it? So the answer being yes, but you need to set a realistic goal because that will require you. So one dictionary term for you is getting a conversion course. I did not know about this. So basically so you need to understand that this was something that you were looking for. If in case your aptitude supports it, then go for a conversion course. You can drop in your details on the email IDs that are mentioned. And I think we have people who will be able to guide you better with it. Okay, coming to the next question. So there are a couple of fields that I can see scattered, and I'm just going to say the field and I'm going to ask you which country would you say, like, hands down, so that we make it faster. So MBA after economics honors, what would be your go-to country that you would say that, hey, go there?
Can the one who's asked you, can they let you know what the aspiration is, as in which field do they want the industry to be?
Yeah, so yes, that is also a very relevant question that you need to ask yourself, that what is it that you actually want to become, what is your aspiration? Because otherwise it's just a degree, it's nothing else, it's just a program that you pursue. Okay, so we'll do another question. Till then, all of you who have asked me, you've just put in your programs, tell me what you want to be. Tell me I want to do this, and then maybe we can help you out better.
I want them to think about a degree can always be a bridge, but I need to know both sides, that where do you ideally want to go, and then what is the best bridge?
Right.
If you think of the degree, then you don't go once you graduate, you have no clue on what to do now. And so it's better to reverse engineer rather than be uncertain every stage.
Yes, I think that's very intelligent. When you reverse engineer, you try to understand what you want to be, which is your bigger goal, and then then you break it down into steps that, okay, I'm going to do my master's in this, I've done this already, and that is how you connect the dots and you achieve where you want to go. Also, somebody asked me data science. We've already covered all of these things. If you have joined the webinar slightly late, then this is going to be uploaded on YouTube, as well as it's going to be sent to you through email, and it will be sent, so don't worry. We have a question from Vaishnavi, who says that I'm a graduate from commerce background. I've done my BCom. Which country would you recommend for me to do my MBA, and what specialization holds? Okay, so we have spoken about it, but maybe talking from a commerce background perspective, what MBA should she, what specialization should she choose? And like that would help her in that particular country.
So Vaishnavi, I think France is a good fit for you if you're going towards the finance and accounting sector. One, France is a mammoth of a banking giant. It's a mammoth of a financial economy. I mean, they've got a lot of fintech firms, and France are the helm of fintech startups. Even German. See, so if you want to go to the accounting pathway, if you want to go and consult banks and consult accounting firms, consult wealth management firms, France. If you want to go down the path where you want to work for consultants like BCG, EY, PwC, KPMG, then Germany. Their headquarters are mostly in Germany. So depends which side, but remember, if the accounting and finance side, it's always France, 100%. It's a big banking giant. If you want to stay afar from the actual hands-on finance accounting and you just want to enjoy, leverage your background, but want to consult companies and startups, then Germany is also a good fit.
Okay, so this is a different question, and I remember having a conversation with you about it. Can you recommend a neurophysiotherapy course in a public university, and do we have it in these countries? Do we have something like this?
I think you should. We will find something in Finland. Finland has a decent healthcare and allied healthcare job sector. Should ideally find something for you in Finland.
Okay, okay, this is a very important question. I think all of you will be very excited to know about scholarship. It's one of the most buzzwords, I think one of the most popular ones that I hear. What is the mechanism? How do we exactly award scholarships to these aspirants? And is there a percentage? And for masters, do we actually give scholarships, as upGrad abroad talking about?
Good one. I think I'd love to answer that. Of everything you've asked, it has to be my favorite question. So here's how the upGrad ecosystem works. If a Prajita were to go in Germany, assume she's one of you and she's just made up her mind, Germany is the country I want to build my future in. And she starts now. She starts thinking about it now in November. Most of these countries have 2 intakes, January and September. It's just that certain parts of Germany, certain schools have 4 intakes that are a start every quarter. Now, what you don't realize is Germany, and any country for that matter, has a lot of prerequisites. I don't know if you know what there's something called test AS, there's something called APS, there's something called IELTS, Duolingo, which you've heard of. These countries have the authentication process in place. I'm sure most of you who've studied in or who've aspired to study in Canada or the United States, you know about this process called WES. WES is this accrediting body, Prajita, that grades you as per US equivalency. Your Indian degrees are translated to a US 4.0 grade. Similarly, all of these parts of Europe like France, Germany, and Finland have their own setups. So what upGrad does is we let you start right now, and you keep doing these things in the parallel. As soon as you're done with your APS certificate or your Campus France, you immediately move to Germany or France and Finland. You save 1 full semester. So you do 6 months of studies here, 6 to 8 to 12 months, depending on how long you want to be here. and then you immediately schools, whether it's in Finland and Germany. Now, French degrees are always 2 year long. It's a standard rule. Their masters are going to be 2 year long. Because M1 and M2. So we deliver up to full the entire M1 in India. We can also do a semester in India and send them. Similarly, German degrees are either 2 years or 1 year. We do have both the setup so that you do one semester and then you do the rest of your country in Germany. Rest of your course in Germany. Now, Finland, similar. Finland, we only have an MBA in Finland, but at least 6 types of MBA for technology enthusiasts, for business, finance, hospitality, informatics, so on and so forth. We let them do one semester, 6 months in India, and then they eventually go. The point is very simple, Aprajita. The premise is आपको वैसे भी 6 महीने चाहिए तैयारी के लिए, आपको वैसे भी 6 महीने चाहिए सब कुछ रेडी करने के लिए, अपना टेस्ट एस पास करने के लिए, अगर बैचलर्स हो नहीं हो तो एपीएस करने के लिए 4 महीने की टाइमलाइन है. उस 4 महीने में घर बैठने से अच्छा है आप ऑनलाइन पढ़ लो. अब मैं आता हूँ उस पर जो आपने पूछा मुझे. If they study with us one semester, Rajda, they almost save about 6 to 7 lakh rupees. If they study one full year with us, they save at least 15-20 lakh rupees, because living cost with them you save a lot of living cost. France में एक एवरेज ट्यूशन फी 12-13 हजार यूरो है. उसमें हमारे स्टूडेंट को पहले तो 15-20% स्कॉलरशिप मिलती है, सो दैट फी कम्स डाउन टू अबाउट 9,000 यूरो. पहला साल उसका वैसे ही सेव हो जाता है 12,000 यूरो का. 12,000 यूरो प्लस 10-11,000 यूरो लिविंग कॉस्ट, 23-24 हजार यूरो उसका वैसे ही सेव हो गया, विच इज ऑलमोस्ट अबाउट 20 लाख रुपीज. And we charge about 3-4 lakh for that 1 year of teaching, which is online. It's super easy for anyone. And finally, you go for 1 year, you've saved almost 15-16 lakh good rupees. And even if someone is, very rigid about that directly or straight away going and doing the full on campus, you can still get our scholarship up to 30%. Well, वैसे इतनी, they're so affordable. Even 30% on top of it is a game changer. We've got Hungary की fee अपराजता about 12,400 euro है. We give students about 30%, and उनकी fee roughly 8,500 euros है. क्या 7.5 लाख में they get their MBA done?
So yes, the answer to that question is yes, we do award scholarships, and it's not based on what percentage you've scored, but yes, it is contingent on the profile that you have. But yes, we have scholarships for all these countries that are mentioned, which is France, Germany, and Finland. We also have scholarships for the US, if I'm not wrong. We do have scholarships for other countries as well, but because we're talking about these 3 countries today, so yes, the answer is yes. Okay. So Sandeep is asking us, what course can I do which is in the 10 lakh bracket? If I have so he already has a medical background. And what are the future prospects? So he already has a medical background, but what can he do that is under 10 lakh? And future prospects uske kya hai? Whether he'll be able to also, get like a 4x ROI on this degree.
I think if you do a medical intensive degree, आपको पहले तो जर्मन या फ्रेंच आनी चाहिए बहुत अच्छे से. मेडिकल इंडस्ट्री में अगर जो फ्रंट रनर्स या फोर रनर्स या फ्रंट लाइंस पे वर्कर होते हैं, उनको बिल्कुल एग्जैक्ट C1 C2 लेवल की जर्मन या फ्रेंच आनी चाहिए, बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स दे आर सर्विंग मेडिकल लाइंस. I, Prajda, would advise Sandeep to do an MBA healthcare. See, he has his background with him already. He's bringing that in on the table. And on top of it, if I'm trying to envisage a career for him in allied healthcare or healthcare administration or healthcare operations or insurance management in healthcare, drug discovery, drug development, pharmaceutical companies, all of that, he just needs one MBA degree in healthcare management to enter that. He brings his background, bolsters and solidifies it with an MBA, and he can work for any medical giant, pharma giant, or a healthcare facility, some of the leading hospitals. Why not? That's one of the most. look, like I said, healthcare jobs, there are going to be 40 million healthcare jobs, the WHO says, in another 4 or 5 years. There's someone who's supposed to hire them. There's someone who they're going to be hired into. There's someone who's going to lead them. There's someone who leads them. There's someone who has to design job roles for them. It could be you. So do an MBA, help get that done.
Yes, I think that's a very concise answer to your question. I think I must have understood that that's a very good option, and already you have a medical background, so that will actually help you, grow more. If you have very specific questions, this is for all of you who are attending the webinar, please write in to us, because we'll try to answer the general questions so that everybody remains interested. If you have a very specific question and you want to answer that in detail, please feel free to drop in your email ID and contact number on the mentioned email IDs. Arshi, can you just either pin it or just message it again so that they have the IDs handy with them? Okay. So there are a couple of eligibility questions. I come from a journalism background and I want to do MSc in psychology, and she's written conversion. So I think all of these participants here now know what conversion courses are. So she's written conversion in brackets and she said that that's been my passion. So what is your advice on that? Is that possible?
Can you just repeat for me what a background is, Prashna?
Journalism. She's from BA journalism.
She wants to go into psychology. Well, I think psychology by itself is not a conversion course, but there's something that is. It's called an IO psychology course. It's called industrial organization psychology. That typically means if a Prajta had to do an IO psychology, say an MBA with specialization in IO, it means a Prajta can industrially practice psychology at a workplace, be a counselor, be an HR, a typical human resource counselor. But most importantly, you know what industrial organization psychologists do? They consult the board of directors slash MD slash CEOs slash the chief HR into devising strategy for the organization, keeping in mind human behavioral psychology. They keep in, so if Aprajita were a CEO and she had to consult me and I had done an IO psychology, my ideal role is to tell her how human beings behave, their cognition level versus their emotional health versus their likelihood to get burned out, their likelihood of getting how many work hours to be substantiated with how many off hours, how to design an organizational development policy, how to design statutory guidelines, all the way from ensuring everyone's mental health is optimum at the workplace. All of this is IO psychology. So you keep psychology at the center and design everything around how human beings are hardwired. And how do you design incentives around it? How do you make them be more efficient at work? For example, Google has a very interesting IO psychology team. 20% of your entire day, you only do things that are responsible for your own growth. And one of the KRA for yourself is how did you grow? What did you do? How did you improve your performance at work? But how did personal growth lead to? So I'm saying, understand that we come from a time where psychology was very celebrated. It still is. It's never running out of business. But what I'm saying, Prajta, is there's so many new age cross domains that have emerged and surfaced that need more workforce than ever, because challenges have changed from operational to psychological. Your problem in upGrad, sometimes it's not that we don't have enough folks. Sometimes it's how do I keep the employee health here, because they're depleting, they're burning out. So it's not as difficult to hire as it is to maintain someone you hire, right?
Correct. So conversion courses are possible, and now we've learned that there are such programs that help us do that. Whether you're eligible, whether it is recommended, whether it's advised from a counselor's end or a study abroad expert's end, is also subject to what have you done, how have you scored, what have you done previously, what's your degree been like, etc., etc. Whether it will be a wise decision. So that is contingent on all of that. I would still advise all of you to drop in your academic profiles on our email IDs. I think that will make it easier to give you a better judgment in terms of what you should do. We will answer basic general questions so that everybody remains interested. Okay, so digital marketing in Germany, do you think it's promising? That's one question.
Prajna, if they've made up their mind and they've got a very solid digital marketing background, sure, go ahead. Germany is a good economy, but France it is. Look, France is a very enterprise driven, brand driven, fashion driven, luxury driven economy. It has a lot of tourism, rather the largest, a lot of hospitality sector, a lot of brand driven economy, right? यहाँ पे digital marketing ही drive ही वो करता है, because everything runs on, very consumer driven, it's a D2C driven economy. Germany is a typical manufacturing or healthcare or agrotech or automotive driven economy. Digital marketing is important, पर वो सारा export sector है, वो बहुत बड़ा दुनिया का. I hope you are able to absorb where I'm taking you. France is that place you can actually put digital marketing to good use.
So I feel a lot of these disciplines work for every country. So if I'm hell bent on going to Germany and doing my marketing degree there, it's okay, you can. But where are the prospects higher? Where are you going to be short employed within, say, a month or 2 or 3, because that country thrives on that sort of profession? So the answer to that question for digital marketing is go to France. But if you want to go to Germany and still do a digital marketing degree, you can. But it'll be easier to chart your path in a country like France vis-a-vis a country like Germany. That is the sort of comparison that we're trying to make today. That none of these countries, especially with upGrad Abroad's model in place, none of it is, none of these countries are not reachable. They're all accessible. You can go anywhere that you want and do any program that you want. But it boils down to the fact that how's the economy doing in that sector? And that is where you need a counselor to help you understand that this is what you've done, this is what France does best, so that's a marriage. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Okay, let's take another question that says, I have done a BSc in mathematics. Am I eligible to do MSc in data analytics?
120% yes, whether you want to do it in Germany, a full MSDS course, or you want to do a France based course. So we have a school called I1 City. It's hey, by the way, so there's something in France called Grande École. That means the highest stature of a higher education degree. We've got the only Grande École AI and data science degree in a school called I1 City. You can do that, or you can do an MSDS in different schools that we have in Germany, IU, UE, and ISM. And if you're looking for a conversion degree, especially you should do you should do an MSc in business intelligence and data science. That's the best. And they also do a 6 months internship for you with you. So you're going to be okay.
Okay, so there's one question that is on that we ask about the QS, and I would say that we have a couple of webinars that are coming up. Arushi, can you put the webinar schedule in the chat box so that they know? So today we are not going to be talking about the US, and we do cater to masters in the US, and we do talk about what intake you should choose. But this is a question for another day. Arushi, please put in the entire schedule so that they know. Also, it's there on our website. So whenever you join a webinar, just check 2 or 3 things. What program are we talking about? What countries are we talking about? What is the exact nature of that webinar? Because we try to stick to what we've, promised viewers to know more about. Okay. I'm trying to sieve through a couple of questions. Okay. Which country should I choose for an MS in business analytics or a master's in information systems? He's done his bachelor's in computer engineering. So again, a very, I think, a heavily tech-based.
Well, I think business analytics as a field is universal. Like Prasad was mentioned, there are some degrees that can get you anywhere and can get you a good job because all of these thriving economies need that. But I can tell you which courses to pick if you were to be interested in that field. If you were to look for BA in Finland, do an MBA in business informatics. If you were to do a BA course in France, do an MS in data analytics from France. By the way, we also have an MSc in business analytics in a Triple Crown Business School, which is one of the best business schools in the world. So for benchmarking, ISB Hyderabad and IIM Lucknow, IIM Indore, IIM Calcutta, these are all Triple Crown accredited business schools, the best in the world. We have a MSc Business Analytics there. And then Germany, we have an MSc in Business Intelligence and Data Science. It also has a substantive portion of information systems. So all three are good, but I just told you which courses to pick.
Okay, I see a lot of these questions and I'm very intrigued and I would like to advise as a person who's also wanted to study abroad. I see you talking a lot about degrees. I see all of you talking a lot about programs. Nobody really talks about what do they want to become or what do they want to do. I see you talking about a degree, but you don't see, I don't see any response that says, I am this or I want to be this. So I think changed your perspective a little bit in terms of don't be so hell-bent on a program, because a program, like Praneeth also said, there are many upcoming disciplines that have different terminology, but maybe the exact thing that you want to do. But if you stay contained and constricted to a particular term that you've heard, maybe you miss out on that newer discipline or a newer trend that's here. So I am going to take a couple of more questions, but different ones, because a lot of you are talking about eligibility and all of that is great. You can write in to us and we'll answer. We'll arrange a free counseling session for you. But this platform I will use to talk about slightly more general things. Okay, so there is a question. Okay, Subhajit is saying, hi, I have started my career in supply chain. Which course can I do within 10 lakhs, including living cost, which has a higher job prospect, and in which country, and how to avail the scholarship? So what I understand is supply chain, under 10 lakh, and he wants to have a great career.
I think, look, so I'm going to keep aside living costs for a little bit, because of course, living costs for Aprajita, I, and yourself is going to be different. We all have our own set of things that we need as hygiene and some that we can do without, right? So it's going to be different. But you could do an MBA in Germany under 10 easily, say about 7 or 8 lakhs. You can do a supply chain MBA. You can do a French MSc supply chain, but remember, if you're 35 years and above, France does not get you a visa for MSc. They can get you an MBA visa even if you're 45 or 50. But MSc, you don't get a work visa, a study visa after 35. But Germany is okay. Germany gives you an MSc visa up until 43 also. If you were to do it in Finland, it will be about 8 lakh rupees. In France, if you were to do an MSc supply chain, about 10,000 odd euros, about 8.5 lakhs. While I've made sure that you have all options now, I want you to know of one school. It's called Rennes School of Business. Rennes is a Triple Crown school, and its MSc supply chain is 14,000 some euros, about, I think, 12 point some lakhs. But that's the top 50 supply chain programs in the world. And Rennes supply chain is, it's much renowned. It's very globally acclaimed as a standalone course. I will look at that. Sometimes the project, there's a budget and then there's a stretch budget. And stretch budget makes sense if if you know that money is going to come back to you like this. And I want to point out something about Rajda. This Ren Business School's supply chain course is Prodigy listed. So you can get a non-collateral loan on it. You don't need a collateral or a house to mortgage or something else to pledge. You just need to be admitted. And once you're admitted, you're all set. You can go and study in Ren. Ren's living cost is very low. So I don't know if 10 lakhs, but you can easily cope up in 15, 16 lakhs. But remember, it's top 15 in the world as a supply chain program.
Okay, so I think we've answered the majority of questions, and we've tried to understand all of your eligibility criteria and where you actually want to go. Other questions we will answer, but only on email. Just write into us at social@upgrad.com or praneeth.singh@upgrad.com, and we will be more than happy to help you out. The last thing and the most important thing that we want to talk about before signing off is what is this upGrad Abroad Axel program? What is it exactly? How is it different from going through a consultancy or me applying directly on the university platform? What is it that we exactly do, and why should these students consider that, this is the program that I want to do, or these are the universities that they also have? So just as an ending note, I want you to talk about upGrad Abroad. What is it? How are we changing the ed landscape for these students?
Absolutely. upGrad as an organizational setup is trying to democratize how people perceive and think about higher education. And we've recalibrated the system in a way that the day I make that decision that, hey, this is the country, this is the program, this is the budget, upGrad lets you start that day. In the parallel, we make sure all of the document authentication that the country's embassy needs, all of the tests that the country's embassy as entrance or the university needs as some statutory exam that you need to take, most of them are waived off because you're starting in India and you can prove and demonstrate your academic readiness. So much so that, Aprajita, none of our schools needs GRE, GMAT. None of them. They are waived off. All universities give us additional scholarship over and above what they give to regular students because our students prove their academic readiness in India. Now, I know a lot of Indian students look at this as bondage, that, hey, I don't want to stay in India. I just want to go. We're saying be logical. You're anyway going to take 6 to 9 months to get your tests ready, to give your GMAT, GRE, go for APS, wait for 4 months, make sure everything else is happening, give your IELTS and XYZ. We're saying, okay, one, I'm going to waive all of that out, including IELTS. Finland and France, our schools waive off IELTS. For us, they waive off GRE, GMAT for us. So you start this day, start your education in 6 months, where your visa's done, 1 semester's over, man. And you do transfer to the school of your choice. You reduce your study portion by 6 months because, of course, look, everyone here is going as much for academics as they are to build a career. So building a career, finding a job, and internship is the most important, inevitable part because that's the goal, right? So we let you step into the industry 6 to 7 months earlier. You do the course immediately. So while regular students are spending 2 years, you're spending 1 year and out you go and you find a job. And imagine who's at an advantage? You, because out of your entire batch, you're the only one who's done the degree in 1 year. The others are going to take 1 more year. So you're technically the smartest student in the cohort or class who gets the first hands at the job. So you have the first right to refuse any job. That's what we're changing. Now, the interesting part of Prajta that I haven't mentioned is I know a lot of Indian students have an ambiguous mindset of, do I pick this school, that school? Will my academic grades, will my marks be enough for that? What if I don't cope up? What if this happens? If here's the boon of upgrad, if you scored 50% and that school needs 70% just to enter, our students are assessed not on their undergrad alone, but also on the performance that they do in the first semester. So your criteria then becomes to enter the school, the portion that you do in India online, even if, so our online portions are as small as 4.5 months. उतना तो वैसे भी लगता है किसी को बाहर जाने के लिए. मैं आज नवंबर में प्लान करूंगा तो मैं सितंबर में जाऊंगा, वो भी अगर मुझे एलोकेटेड सीट मिलती है तो. मैं कह रहा हूं ऑटो एडमिट हो, पढ़ाई करो, make sure you choose the right university, and you can actually approach you can aim for higher and more aspirational schools once you study with us, start with us, because that online portion is accepted across different schools.
So you basically get another chance. So if you've done, okay, you've been an average student, but you excel in the online portion, you get a chance to get accepted into the best universities. That's what I understand of it. Am I correct? Is that how it is?
It's your second act. You get a second chance at life. Why not? And I think doing your master's is the most important catapult towards where you are and where you think you can be. That's the only way how you actually get a slingshot, and how far back it stretches is how well enough you can do in that first semester. The day you start your first semester, you put in your everything, we get you to even better schools in America, Finland, France. And the interesting part is we've got on-campus support. So our students then help you settle down, find a house, find a part-time work, find internships, find accommodation, find a SIM card, get your bank account opened. It's all us, end-to-end upgrad. But I understand, I think while most of these things you can get anywhere else, it's the equity you have, it's the power you have as a learner to change your fate. You can't switch your bachelor marks, but you can control your fate from India and apply to aspirational schools जहां तुम ideally admissible नहीं हो, but किस्मत बदल सकते हो क्योंकि तुम online portion में अगर अच्छा कर जाओ, you get even better schools. वो तो मिलेगा ही मिलेगा जहां तुम admissible ho. So that's upgrad in the shortest, most concise, cogent, smallest way I could put it.
But that is very interesting. So not only are you saving cost, which is the base of all of this, not only are you saving cost because we started with that, not only are you getting support when you reach there, not only are we reducing your research work to half because we know what is required, what is the paperwork, what is the sort of documentation. We are also, apart from all of this, which are very supplementary needs, we're also giving you a chance to get admitted into the best universities. I don't think other models have that, and this is the USP, that I can get into a triple crown school or I can get into a top 100 school, even if I was an average student. So that limitation has been lifted off me, that no, you can only go to this school, which we see is very prevalent in India, and it's very prevalent in many education systems, wherein this is the end line. Your marks are the end line, and that's it.
You can well imagine, Prajita, triple crown school like ISP takes 36-40 lakhs, and I know I'm only quoting lesser, 40 lakhs for a 1-year PGP, Prajita. Versus, I was saying the Rent School of Business, that's costing you 12 lakh rupees to do your master's.
Wow.
And some of us don't have 60% marks. When they do that first year with us, because it's a 1+1, even if they get 61% on that online coursework, they're in. They're straight into a triple crown ISB, IIM, equally ranked school. That's how we're changing what you can do with, upgrad towards where you want to go in life.
Okay, so I would also urge all of you, all of the people who left and who are very serious apparently, and they really do want to go abroad. There's another dictionary term that is triple crown. What is triple crown? We've mentioned it a couple of times, and we talk about IIM being a triple crown school. What exactly is a triple crown school? Why are we talking so highly of it? We have universities that are triple crown, and they're in our umbrella, which means that you get access to those universities if you enroll with us. But learn, what does it even mean? Why are we talking about it with such passion, or we're so enthusiastic about it? I think you'll know a little bit more and a little better. Okay, so this webinar has been great. I would like to thank all of you for your very interesting questions, for sharing all of your academic profiles. Any parting thoughts? Any way to end this beautiful webinar on the most positive note?
Yeah, I think one of the most consequential decisions of one's life is your education. I think it pretty much dictates where and how early do you reach where you always aspire or dream to be, right? So I'd like to emphasize, Aprasta, that I think us as students need to spend more time on analyzing where do we really want to go, what do we want to do with what we have. And sometimes you don't have all the answers, and which is when counselors step in. So I think I'd like to advise all of them that you write to us. We'll connect you to some of the best counselors that we have. Talk to them. You know what they will do? They will not dictate what you can do. They will ask you the right questions, which will lead you to the answer of where you want to go, what you want to do. And then they'll draw a roadmap for you that to get here, this is the best course. Here is how it fits your budget, or which one really fits your budget. How easy is it, and how much do you need to score to ensure that even if you don't qualify by virtue of your undergrad degree or your 12th grade, here's what you want to do. So I think just be more appreciative of the role that a counselor plays. And if you feel that you're very independent, then just let us know what course, and because it's very difficult for an individual to find courses in 10 different parts of the world. It's messy, and it's our everyday job. So even if you write to me, I'll make sure the counselor tells you some of the best places in the world where you can do that course, which has an employability. Because at the end of the day, you can do a fashion course anywhere in the world, but you'd never get jobs the way you get them in France. You can do an AI course anywhere in the world, so won't get a job like you would in the United States or Germany. You can do any ICT courses anywhere in the world, but you won't get a job the way you would get in Finland. So things from an industrial standpoint, employability, reverse engineer to which course in which part of the world is a very important factor that we have to mandatorily weigh in. And who's going to help you with all of this? A counselor. So make sure that you reach out to one, and we'll make sure that we make your life so much more easier. And thank you so much for having me, Aprasta.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Thank you for sparing such a lot of time. I know your day goes by in a whisk, but thank you for spending so much time and answering so many questions. I think it's very important to inspire them time and again, and we will call you again soon. Thank you so much, all of you who've joined. Thank you for joining the webinar. Please write in at social@upgradabroad.com, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you so much. Thank you.